The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Carson-Newman women's basketball has released its 2021-2022 schedule with Mike Mincey, Michael Watchering here for the Eagles Sports Network. Coach, back to a full slate this season, unlike what happened last year with the COVID-shortened campaign. You did have an exhibition last year. That was in the middle of the season. But in terms of your full seasons, this will be the first time that you don't have an exhibition in the preseason in your tenure. How much emphasis does that now put on any type of scrimmages that you have to put together to get your team prepared for that opening weekend?
Well, looking at our team, we return 5 starters at the end of the year, but we have some new guys that have come in and some returnees as well that came off the bench and played big minutes for us. So getting into those scrimmages, we have 3 of them to see how they're going to perform. Performing in practice is one thing, but how they do it against outside competition is a completely different thing. So we need all the stats that we can get to kind of see what our rotation is going to look like as we move into the first game of the year.
How much, if any, does it help or hurt the fact that you don't have to be prepared for, let's say, Tennessee that very first week, and then you have about a week off or so until you hop into the Division II slate? Does that help or does that hurt your preparation this year?
I think in the past it kind of always helped us that we had to prepare for a lot of different things when you're playing against a Tennessee and North Carolina that has that kind of size that can throw at you. Whereas now, like throwing a ball in under the bucket, potential going up against a press. You're going up against kids your size that's more of your skill level, mostly the size and athleticism that you don't really have to have as many things in. So I would say like right now, we're probably not as prepared as maybe we would have been knowing that we had Tennessee around the corner as we would have been, with what we have looking at in terms of our scrimmages. But so I kind of like it that way because we had to put some stuff in against Tennessee that we probably didn't even use during the regular season.
You start this season with not the reigning Southeast region champions, but the reigning South region champions in Lander, with the fact that with COVID they had to play in that region, a team that a Final Four team, ultra talented. How difficult of a challenge is that going to be to open up this year?
Well, obviously it's always difficult going up against Lander, and then especially the way those kids, because we played against them, and actually we're fortunate enough to win down there when Passmore and Conjay, I believe is how you pronounce it, were freshmen, and then they grew into their sophomore year, and now and went to the Final Four in the country, and so it's going to be a real challenge. Luckily it's on the road or it's on a neutral site court to where that gives a little bit more of the ability to go in there and compete with them. But I like our squad. People like Lindsey Taylor, Skylar Boshears in particular, have never played against Lander. So they haven't seen Lander, and Lander hasn't seen them. So, we're obviously looking forward to that challenge because it's always been a great game between us and Lander.
It's quite the way to start the season because you start on a Saturday, you play on a Sunday, and then Wednesday you open up conference play at Tusculum, the reigning SAC tournament champions there. How much of a barometer is the first week of the season going to provide for your group?
If you come out of that unscathed, and you're 3-0, you're obviously feeling good about yourself. But we know that, you got the neutral site game with Lander. You got neutral site with Aiken, who's a program on the rise. You got Tusculum, who's won the last 2 tournaments and returned quite a bit of their roster. So it's a really tough way to start the season. So if we end up not winning some of those games, it's not like the season's over. It'll be a good barometer for us to kind of know where we're at that point in time. But we can obviously improve if we don't fare very well, and if we do fare well, then we still need to improve as we move forward with still a lot of tough games left in our season.
With the way that it shakes out, I don't think you have a homestand of longer than 2 consecutive games. Right there at the end of the year, I think you play 4 of your final 6 at home. With that in mind, how do you try to handle it yet again where potentially you're headed back on the road, you're going through that, rather than having some of those longer homestands?
It is what it is. Back 4 years ago, 5 years, whatever, it seemed like we struggled on the road. That was one of the things is we could do well in Holt, not necessarily on the road, but we knew that if we ever wanted to be a championship caliber basketball team, you have to go on the road and perform well, and we know what that takes from rebounding, getting to the free throw line, all that kind of stuff. So, going on the road and trying to compete and win games on the road, we don't have a problem with that. And, you can get comfy in your own gym, and if you're here for too long, You can kind of get used to it, and then boom, it's a shock to your system when you go on the road. So not having that long home stand doesn't really bother us. 2's enough, and let's get back on the road and make sure that we can kind of stay balanced with where we're playing and how we're playing, either on the road or at home.
With the way that last season ended, how much are you looking forward to having an opportunity not just to reignite this season, put that in the past, but also to not have to go through some of the obstacles that you had to last year, where pretty much every game you weren't even sure if you were even going to get off the floor and have an opportunity to play that?
I think there's still going to be some obstacles. Talking to some other coaches, I think we still have those concerns. Obviously teams that are fully vaccinated, they pretty much know they're going to go through the season unscathed, but not every team is that way, and there's going to be teams that maybe get hit with COVID. Hopefully not. I hope we go through the season to where it's a little bit more back to normal. Obviously, there's going to be fans there, I would imagine, because that's what we've seen throughout football, volleyball, soccer, etc. So we're obviously looking forward to playing all of our 28 regular season games, going in the tournament, and getting back to normal if at all possible. The indoor sports, we'll see how it goes. We'll see what transmission looks like and all that kind of stuff. But if we can just get back to where, we've got some testing that we have to do, and those were always nervous times, like, are we going to test positive or whatever? But I'm not a doctor, so I don't know anything about all that kind of stuff. We're just hoping for the best, hoping that we get to go to bat with all of our players and our opponent. We want our opponent to have all of their players so we can get the true winner and not, them sitting people or us sitting people, whatever. So we're looking forward to it, and, we just hope that in terms of the SAC and across the NCAA that we can all get all of our games in and get a little bit more back to normal.
Final question that I'll ask you is when you look at what's happening with the fall sports right now, they had to play in the spring. They had that short turnaround. Really, the spring seasons are the only seasons that are on schedule, with playing a full year last year, getting ready for this season. How much did having, at the very least, the season that you had, winning a regular season championship, benefit you as you get prepared for this year?
Getting to play, it was a unique year, clearly. We had to go through, as everybody did. We went through adversity. We've got some memories there of standing at the health department in 36-degree rain, trying to get tested just so we could play the game of basketball. And I think those are all growing experiences for us. Obviously, we got to have the tournament, the testing every day. It's just something that I hope we never have to do again. We can put it in the rearview mirror and kind of move forward. But, getting to play in the tournament, we didn't fare well in the tournament. We didn't put our best foot forward in either the SAC tournament or the NCAA tournament. And I think that with what we have coming back, those are all learning experiences for us that we want to try to obviously have much better success toward the end of the year. We had a great regular season run, won a regular season championship. We call it the COVID championship. I think we even have it on the plaque that we got them, that it was COVID year, whatever. But, we don't like how we ended last year, and we just look forward to getting into this year, and hopefully we'll put a best foot forward as we move later into the season, late February, early March, be able to play a little bit better, especially with as many kids as we have returning.
Coach, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck this year.
Thank you, Michael.
He's Carson-Newman coach Mike Mincey. I'm Michael Watching for the Eagle Sports Network.